here, and I said, everybody take a seat. The press said, Biden's so stupid, didn't know they didn't have any chairs. Well, hello, Joliet. And, what a Saturday morning crowd. Thank you so very much. And, what a great, thanks for that introduction. You know, there's millions of women and men like Audrey all across America who are struggling and worrying every day about how they can take care of themselves and take care of their needs, particularly near health. You know, thanks to you having one of the best congressional delegations in America. My buddy, he is my buddy, Dick Durbin. We've been there every step of the way. Tammy Duckworth, a genuine, when you talk about American heroes, this is an American hero. If I had time, I'd spend the whole time talking about what she did. Defending our nation, a tireless fighter for her constituents, supporting families and supporting our veterans like nobody else does. And I can't thank you enough for what you do. I really mean it. Thank you. Robin Keller, a champion of women and children, not only in the district, but all across America. And ask for advice. As your very own Congressman Lauren Underwood. Lauren, I didn't know your story. I didn't know she would be saying what she said. But the only part of it that didn't surprise me is you picked up the phone and called her. You know why? Not only are you a hell of a congressman, you're a nurse. No, I'm serious. There's something special about nurses. Maybe it's because I, like many of you, have been a consumer of health care. My family, losing family members as well as saving family members. And I spent a lot of time early on myself in ICU a long time ago. And you know, docs allow you to let you live. But you know, I often say if there are any angels in heaven, they're all nurses, male and female. Doctors let you live, nurses make you want to live. No, I'm not joking. Male and female. Remember being in ICU, looking at those monitors after a 9-hour operation, and thinking to myself, I wasn't hurting, I just was tired. I just wanted to just let it go. I knew the line went flat. I'll kidding aside, some of you have similar experience. And my nurse, I'll never forget her name, Pearl Nelson, like Walter Reed, come up and whisper in my ear, stroke my face, make me talk to me. You know, it's just amazing what nurses do. And Lauren is a person you can always count on. She's always there. You know, in just her first 2 terms of office, she got 10 pieces of legislation passed in the law. In 10 years, and I'll get 1 piece passed in the law. But all kidding aside, you know, lowering healthcare costs, improving care for women who serve in the armed forces, increasing the number of veterans trained in healthcare jobs, protecting America's supply of critical prescription drugs and medical devices. And most of those are bipartisan efforts she put together. And by the way, Lauren does her job and reminds me of what my dad used to say. He used to say, I'm not looking to the government to solve my problems. I just want them to understand my problems. She understands. Part of it is just understanding what your constituents need. When you can help them. When you can't, when there's no real answer, tell them the truth. And then work like hell to try to find an answer. Folks, I'm coming to Illinois to talk about 2 programs that reflect who we are as Americans. And Lauren understands to her core. Social Security and Medicare. Quite frankly, I've been in Congress a long time. I never thought I'd have to make this speech. Did you, Dick, ever think we'd be in this position? You know, these programs do something so basic and yet so important. You know, that after working hard for decades, people deserve to retire, as my dad used to say, with some dignity. word he most often used. Everyone's entitled to dignity. And the idea that a hardworking person is retired and be in real trouble, deprived of their dignity, is just something beyond comprehension for most of us. That's how it should be in the United States. Lauren talks about people she grew up with, the people she represents. They're folks we all know. They're you in this auditorium, the people I grew up with. Imagine a nurse from Lauren's hometown in Naperville who's been serving patients for decades. She's paid in the Medicare system and the Social Security system with every paycheck. She's getting ready to retire, this nurse, or imaginary nurse, trying to make plans for the future. And she's counting on Medicare. She's counting on Social Security to be there. Paid into your whole life. Imagine that young dad working in a warehouse in Joliet with little kids. It's a hard job. Comes home every day. He's not thinking about retirement yet, but one day he will. I'll be grateful for Social Security, Medicare paying for what he's paying into right now. Those calloused hands and aching back will be there for he and his family. I mean, it's real. If I can just pause for a second. I remember my brother, I was lucky. When my mom was passing away, my mom moved in after my dad died and moved into my house. And it was a great thing because my sister was nearby, my two brothers. And my mom was fiercely independent. And I remember she used to go to the local drugstore and get her prescriptions. And she wouldn't tell us, but she didn't have enough money to pay for some of those prescriptions. And so, to save her pride, I went up and gave her a credit card and said, whatever she has, whatever prescription she has, fill it and say she has enough money she's paying for. It's paid for. We didn't want her to know because she would have said no. Pride, dignity, dignity. Imagine a new retiree who recently turned 65. In the past few years, he's been dealing with diabetes, heart disease. He's got a pacemaker. Takes several medicines a day, sometimes many as 12. Hassle. Without Social Security and Medicare, it'd be impossible for him to afford the care he needs. I mean, literally, you know people. Some of you fit this bill. Most folks don't know that Social Security, almost half of all seniors, without it, half of all seniors lived in poverty before we had Social Security. Half of the senior population of America. Not enough money to put food on the table until Medicare came along. No health care they can count on. Think about what it does to your sense of security. And again, back to what it does for individuals of dignity. We're proud people. Especially those who busted their neck their whole life and paid into the system. But then we came together as a country and said, no, we can do a hell of a lot better than this. Social Security and Medicare are more than government programs. They're a promise. They're a promise. Work hard and contribute, and when the time comes to retire, things will be a little easier for you. I guarantee it's a little easier. Social Security and Medicare don't solve it. There's a rock out, and we count on that. Y'all think it's a rock solid guarantee, an ironclad commitment. Generations of Americans have counted on it, and it works. If we didn't have Social Security, the poverty rate for those over 65 would be 4 times what it is now. 4 times. I love those signs when I came in. Socialism. Great. What idiots. Sometimes I'm forced to say all what I mean. Look, think about in this district alone, more than 100,000 people over the age of 65 in this district. Some people have means. Others are living day to day on Social Security and Medicare. That's why Lauren and I are going to keep protecting and strengthening these programs. I believe that hard work should be rewarded. And I believe we should have no one. No American has worked and struggled. That's why, with the help of Lauren and members of your delegation, we passed the Inflation Reduction Act. because it made Medicare stronger. Look, take prescription drugs. Folks, we pay the highest price for prescription drugs of any developed nation in the world. Same drug, same exact one, made by the same company, sold in Chicago and sold in Paris. It's cheaper in Paris. Not a joke. No rationale for it. None. And many of these drugs, of course, they come up with a consequence of the government research. I'm glad they came up with them. For years, we fought to give Medicare the power to negotiate what they pay for prescription drugs. Just like we do for the Veterans Administration. The VA has been able to, as they should. They say, you want to sell us, figuratively speaking, a weed of liberty, aspirin and a penny apiece, we'll only pay half a penny. You don't want to sell it to us, we'll go somewhere else. But for years, Big Pharma has blocked us from being able to negotiate. They were the only exception out there. Not this year. We finally beat Big Pharma. Medicare will finally have the power to negotiate lower prescription drug prices, just like VA. Additionally, seniors will see their out-of-pocket expenses for prescription drugs capped. You know people, maybe some of you, are paying $7,000, $8,000, $10,000 a year for prescriptions because you have cancer or other serious disease. Well, guess what? Because of the help of this delegation sitting in front of me, we capped that level. No senior starting January won't have to pay more than $2,000 a year for all of their $14,000, no more than $2,000 a year. The companies will still make a lot of money. Starting in January, we're capping the cost of insulin for seniors with diabetes. How many of you know somebody who needs insulin for their diabetes? Raise your hand. Every audience. I think almost everybody in the room. I would say at least half this audience raise their hand. You know how much it costs to make that particular that insulin? It costs $10, TEN, $10 to make. That's it. Packaged. With this package, they don't want me to wonder, I guess. With the packaged, maybe as much as 15. Well, some of you are paying $400, $500, $600 a month for that insulin. Guess what? You're not going to pay more than $35 a month. Starting in January, Big Pharma raises drug prices faster than inflation. They're going to have to write a check for the difference to Medicare. This past year, drug companies raised the price on more than one limitless recession, quote unquote, as Republicans say. Not a recession. A limitless really turned down here in terms of expenses. People are paying the kitchen table. They raised the price of 1,200 drugs higher than the rate of inflation. Just last year, putting an end to that. Plus, for seniors on Medicare Part D, recommended vaccines like shingles vaccines are going to be available for free, no copay. Last year, more than 2 million seniors got that shingles vaccine at an average price of $100 for it, but some had to pay as much as $200. And you wonder how many seniors skipped the shot because they couldn't afford it. You know, we don't have to make that choice anymore. And we're making hearing aids affordable finally. For over the counter. The FDA estimates it's going to save as much as $3,000 per pair of hearing aids. And one more thing. For the first time in a decade, senior Social Security checks are going to go up and Medicare is going to come down. Not a joke. I wish I could say our Republicans in Congress helped make it happen. But the truth is, every single solitary Democrat in Congress voted for the Inflation Reduction Act. Every single Republican voted against it. Every single one, not one, supported it. And now Republicans are calling to tell us the number one priority to repeal the Inflation Reduction Act. Everything I just talked about, $2,000 cap on prescription drugs, $35 a month cap on insulin, more power for Medicare to lower drug prices, all gone if they succeed. Well, we're not going to succeed at least for the next two without veto. But you know, savings healthcare premiums, $800 a month for Americans on the Affordable Care Act. We're smaller and work so hard to get done. They'll be gone. And of course, there's still the repeal of the Affordable Care Act we're trying to do. The Affordable Care Act is the only reason why tens of millions of people have any coverage because of a pre-existing condition. They can't get insurance other than through the Affordable Care Act. And folks, they're also coming for your Social Security and Medicaid. Rick Scott, a senator from Florida, in charge of elected Republicans in the Senate, put out a plan to replace the Social Security and Medicare on the chopping block every 5 years. Every 5 years. And that means every 5 years, Congress is going to have to vote to cut, completely eliminate, or keep it as it is. This is their little, this is Scott's Republican platform for that. Let me read from it. All federal legislation sunsets every 5 years. If the law is worth keeping, Congress can pass it again. So every 5 years, you have to vote on whether we're going to have Social Security or cut it, whatever. Every 5 years. I mean, what is with these guys? Same with Medicare. In other words, it goes out of existence if we don't vote to keep it. Isn't that wonderful? And then along came Ron Johnson, Senator Johnson from the state of Wisconsin. He thinks waiting every 5 years to try to eliminate Social Security is too long. He thinks Social Security and Medicare should be in the chopping block every single year, along with veterans benefits and everything else in the federal budget. If Congress doesn't vote to keep it, it goes away. It's gone. You've been paying for this your whole life. Now these guys want to take it away. Who in the hell do they think they are? I really mean it. Do you think anybody would be saying this? We knew where their heart was, but the idea. And what do Republicans want to spend that money on instead? Well, what they want to do, they're really upset with Dick and all of us for making sure that the 55 Fortune 500 companies that paid zero in tax now have to pay a horrible 15% in tax. Look, think about it. Think of what these guys, they want to make the tax cut that they voted under the last president. That they didn't pay for a penny of it, not a penny of it. They want to make it permanent. They want to continue, they want to slash the number of agents that are out there at IRS to look at their forms. They allow some of the largest and most profitable companies in America to go back to paying zero. Like I said, a $2 trillion tax cut, which overwhelmingly benefited major corporations and the wealthiest among us. I want to make sure it's said. By the way, when I ran, I promised you that no one making less than $400,000 a year would have a single penny of their taxes increased. I kept that promise. Folks, many of us are focused on inflation right now, but if you want to raise the cost of living on seniors, go ahead and give free rein to drug companies. Imagine what that's going to do if we see these prices continue to go up, skyrocket. It's called inflation, and it affects ordinary people every single day. Go ahead and reduce Social Security and Medicare. Watch what happens to the cost of living for hardworking people in Illinois. That's inflation. My dad used to say that if you take a look, at the end of the month, you have enough money to pay for all your regular bills and have a little breathing, just a little breathing, a little left over. Well, these guys don't want there to be any breathing. Now Republicans in Congress are saying they're not going to cooperate in cutting, unless I agree to cooperate in cutting Social Security and Medicare, or they'll shut down the government. New York Times, front page, top of it says GOP signals plans to shrink Social Security and goes on and says congressional Republicans eyeing the midterm election victory could hand them control of the House and Senate have embraced plans to reduce federal spending on Social Security and Medicare, including cutting benefits for some retirees and raising retirement age for both programs. It goes on. Folks, look, we're not making this stuff up. But the real thing, the idea they threatened a default on the federal debt, if we didn't go along, nothing would create more chaos, do more damage to the American economy than that. Let me close with this. Over the last year, we faced some of the most difficult challenges in our history. We're making real progress thanks to people like Lauren and the rest of your delegation. As I said, she's a nurse at heart. She'll protect Social Security and Medicare, take on big pharma and lower drug prices, make American health care a right, just not a privilege. All of you are the reason I've never been more optimistic about the future of America. You just have to remember who in God's name we are. We are the United States of America. There's nothing within our power that's beyond our power. There's nothing. We're the only nation in the world that's come out of every crisis stronger than we went in it. The only one, because of who we are. We're forgetting. We've got to step up. We've got to make sure we protect the American people. Basic fundamental rights are in jeopardy. And right now, we have 3 more days. 3 more days. If you haven't already voted, an awful lot of you have. Make sure you vote. If you have voted, go knock on your neighbor's door. Take them to the polls. Help them out. Convince them to work. Convince them to show up and vote. And I'll take my chances. Democrat and Republican, they haven't voted. Let them vote. Because they know what's going on. They really do. So folks, it's been a great honor to be able to work with your delegation. I hope to God I'm able to continue to do that for at least the next 2 years, maybe beyond that. But in the meantime, keep the faith. Every time I walk out of my Grandpa Finnegan's home up in Scranton, I yell, Joey, keep the faith. And my grandmother would yell, no, Joey, spread it. Let's go spread the faith. God bless you. Good news for you is I have to be in Philadelphia with Barack to campaign for some folks. I don't leave now, they tell me I'm going to be late. And Fetterman's a big boy. I don't want to be late for him, but all kidding aside, you've been spared the idea what I like to do best is working the road line, saying hi to all of you. I apologize I can't do that today. But I'm like a poor relative. Invite me back, I'll show up. Thank you.